So you'll start by going into the project folder. We're going to throw the raw footage into the raw folder here, but you'll find that in raw footage, where it belongs there at least. I'm going to go up and duplicate a project from last week, and I usually start from there. So I'll show you the specifications a little bit later in the video for the adjustment layer over the top and the effects that I add to that adjustment layer. I don't add the effects directly to the video footage unless it is, or the raw video clip, that is, unless it is, these are just specifications for the raw footage. So you can see what we typically get if you need to set up ahead of time. I showed you that whenever we duplicated the project, but in here you'll see I'll just copy and paste the attributes from the old video. I don't know how to do that in Premiere, but in Final Cut, I can copy and paste from the old, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But here's the preset. It's Cinematic Grade 16. I don't really know where I got it. Maybe there's a way I can send it to you so that you have it, but either way, I'll get to it here in a second. You can use this for something to go off of. You can see here, I'll do a little back and forth so you can see where the so you can see how the video changes when I have it on and off. Makes quite a difference. I've made some tweaks and adjustments on the side, but once you have that saved, we can move forward. I have the same one that I use. I'll copy and paste from projects that were outside and use those on other projects that are outside. I'll copy and paste the effects for indoor videos from the office the same way. I just have two different, I guess, presets. I don't know how to save them. I just pull them from old projects. If you've got ways to do that, absolutely. There might be better ways to do all of this. So I moved the logo and the adjustment layer over. I will copy and paste the attributes that were basically just fixing audio, and I will do zoom, scale in directly on the video clip. So I'll copy that to the main raw footage, and from there works a little bit better. I forgot to turn on the audio so you can hear him as I'm doing this editing. It should be fixed now. In any case, I'll trim the end here. He always finishes with "have more fun, make more money," or something similar. I already have that in the final clip with subtitles burned in, so I just leave that at the end. It's good to go. The fade to color, I'll show you that here in a second. I fade it to white. You can see the midpoint and the settings up at the top. I'll zoom in on that here. I'll show you fade to color. I'll go in, pull it there. I don't know. That came with Final Cut. Maybe there's something in Premiere Pro. That's how I set that up. I cut in at the beginning, and I'll probably do all of this except for logo. I might even just do the, because I'm going to put the message together, at least cut it down. But I'll show you here. This one's pretty good all the way through, but if we were to do a clip and we needed to make a cut, I'll show you where I do this. Right in the middle is when it fades away. The composite settings for the Sandler logo. Right now, this is what I do for the raw footage. If we get 4K, I usually zoom in pretty far, which we have been getting 4K. Hopefully the rest of our clients will be able to do that as well. It allows us a lot of flexibility. I have the Sandler logo going to the middle of the fade to white, and I have the adjustment layer going to about a quarter of the way into that transition out, and it fades out nicely. It doesn't need to be over the final scene there with the logo and fade out. The audio only, I'll save that, and then I'll show you how I throw that into Descript. While we're waiting for that, I'll tell you here in a second. If we were to make a cut and edit this down, let's say he had a flub in the middle and we had to cut that out and put it together. I throw the cross dissolve in between, put my cursor or my playhead in the middle so you can see the blend, the blur. And you hear this cut and just see what it looks like raw. And it looks off, you know? So I will click on the second clip and zoom in, adjust it. Now with the water horizon in the back, it's a little different than if there's a white background or just a solid wall or something, but I play around with it, see what looks most natural. A lot of times it means matching up the center of his sunglasses, you know, right at the bridge of his nose, in between his eyes. Line that up, and that makes it look smooth. Sometimes you just have to do the horizon. Maybe that's smooth. Rule of thumb is when you're zooming in, I like it to be relatively centered. So that means that the horizon has to move up and he comes in and up a little bit. That's good. It looks like he's moving too far to the right. See if we can fix that. What I'll end up doing here is probably just centering him as best I can. I'll look at the outside of his shoulders and see where, yeah, bring that in a little bit so it's a little bleeds out on each side a little bit, and then this should be pretty decent. It's not bad. Screw around with it a little bit more, but I think you get the idea here. Make these changes as you see fit. Just want it to look kind of natural and smooth whenever we have to cut that out. If it's really bad, we can use stock footage or all sorts of things to cover it up. Now, what we're going to do is save the audio only for this. Here's the settings, what I use. I think Descript has to take it MP3. That's why I use it. I don't know. Maybe it's just a reasonably sized file. Anyway, fix this typo, but I'll save that in the audio files, raw audio folder. Save. So come into the raw audio. We're going to click and drag this. I've already opened up a new composition inside of Descript. Just drop it here. Click out of this. Don't need to transcribe. Turn on the switch. Make sure you select the file. Select Studio Sound. Takes a second or two to process the audio for it, and sounds good. So we'll publish. This is what I use for the export. The export, not publish, but those are the settings I use. We'll go to the right folder. November. Save this in audio, polished audio. When that's done, here in a quick second, we will go find polished audio in our folder, plop it into Final Cut, screw this up, oops, move this in. We're going to raise the decibels to 6 after we cut off the end with the duplicate, have more fun, make more money. Put this at 6 decibels. We're going to go to the front, trim a little bit, and then we're going to pull it up. And then I just line up the audio waves. I'm sure there's a way to do this more quickly, but it's pretty simple. I think I even take a little bit more time on this. I was missing the peaks and valleys, but you'll see you can usually find one peak that matches up and start from there. And then if you can find a really sharp, deep valley and line up your playhead and then move the bottom audio wave file to match that same valley. Let's see if we can find a better one here. He still sounds a little off. It's not bad. I don't know. I'm sure if when I turn off, we're going to turn off the original audio. I'll mark the new audio as dialogue 2, turn off dialogue 1, and then save it. So again, I don't know how you would translate this in Premiere Pro. There might be a way to do that. Uh, I'm going to do a lot of the audio fixes up front that we talked about before I send it when I'm lining up the message to make sure I know where the cuts need to be. But I would like for you to the lining up of each cut whenever that happens. We'll turn off dialogue 1. I think I got that lined up pretty well. There's a good valley there. Yeah, yeah, looks good. So we let that render. That's going to take the next however long, and probably speed through this or cut to the end. So this is the end of our render here, and we'll go up to my preset. Here's my settings. It says 4K in the deal. I exported as 1080p. I don't remember if I do that because I was running into issues with Premiere Pro or just having too much space. I always do the final export as 1080p. I might have done it just so I could match the settings in Premiere Pro and not worry about it learning a new setup. So this is sharing. It's going to take a minute. And we can get to the end of that, and I'll show you what I do when I throw it into Premiere Pro and do the subtitles. Okay, that's the end of sharing. It's processed. Pull it up, checked it out. I've saved this ahead of time for an old project, and then I use the subtitle. I delete what's in there and do this because I don't want to have Premiere Pro projects and Final Cut. If you're just doing this all in Premiere Pro, probably don't have these issues. You can make all the presets the way that I'm about to show you. We throw that in, we do the transcribe. I do a once over on the subtitles. If it's not perfect, fine, but we can get pretty close. You notice a little bit where Descript pulls the audio out sometimes. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. It's still pretty decent, way better than with the waves and stuff behind him. And it's really clear if he speaks up, and that's the goal. But work through some of these subtitles. Just make sure he says 4 instead of 2 whenever he's supposed to, or or if he says, like earlier it said, he said pain, but it obviously put something else. Check that stuff, and then we'll save the text file for this in a folder, the subtitles folder for the text files, and that will help us create. It's important because it will help us create copy for social media, email, events, all sorts of things. Delete the have fun, make more money at the end, or let it process whenever, here's the save the text file. Don't forget, you can either delete the have more fun, make more money there, or at the end. Here's the presets that I use. The large, quick. I've just saved this. The large quick is at the bottom. That shows you these subtitles. I'll show you in a second. But the large quick is this. It helps you do the number of characters, minimum duration, single line. And now the text style, I'll show you what I've done here. I saved it as Sandler subtitles so that it matches the very end scene there. Pop in semi-bold, 90-point font. Not there. Do this, move it to the right. center it. And now this is the colors that we use in each place. Weight of the stroke is 16. Here's all of our shadow information. So you can save this to a preset and use it for Sandler subtitles. We can always tweak if we have another client that needs something a little different, but this is going to be a pretty solid foundation. So I go through, I check for things that look kind of funny, try to fix them. I don't like the 3 lines if we can avoid it. Let's check, see how this looks. It kind of like shoots back and forth. I don't feel like messing with that too much. Let's just separate them, go back to undo. I think it's fine. So we'll watch this all the way through, see if there's anything really funky. But otherwise, if it looks good, one thing to mention is if there is a cut in the message where we had a flub and it needs to be fixed, I like to have the see, this needs to be conversation alley. That's one word. Let's make it look like one word. Conversationally. So it looks fine. I like that. If there's a cut, I like to line up the start of the second. We'll save the SRT file here in the same place, but in the SRT folder. But I like to line up the start of the subtitle with the start of the clip where the cut is, so that it's a seamless transition. One subtitle goes away, one appears as the clip goes away and clip reappears. There's a match high bit rate. I'm assuming that's the way we do that to make the best. It's worked so far. So I saved that in the yes subtitles folder with the landscape because on occasion I might have us reformat this for vertical video. Just depends. So I have another folder in there, but this will do its process. And as soon as it's done, we will watch it through and make sure everything looks good. Other than that, it's finalized. So we'll watch it through, and if there's anything that I'm missing in here, we will try and fill in some gaps.